Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to team meeting number 96. In this team meeting, we're going to have an update on Jesse Banyan's Bania. Sorry, I'm awful with surnames. I'm going to have to practice that a lot. We're up to update on his onboarding. We have some questions from one of our faculty members, and we have some articles we'd like to discuss. Rob, what do you do this weekend?
This weekend, spent time getting the kids ready for a big archery tournament that's going to occur in Louisville, Kentucky. It's NFAA, National Federation of Archery. And it's a great tournament. My sons are 12 and 10 years old. And what we do is we shoot up at Pelkey's Archery in St. Albans, Vermont. And it's a group of about 50 families. And we hop a chartered bus and drive 18 hours from Vermont to Louisville. Anjay will have his first ever experience at McDonald's and have a Shamrock Shake. And it's a great time and a really nice community. So we got ready for that, spent a bunch of time looking at some courses and getting caught up on tasks with Oplerno and what I call red flags, which are things that, emails and such to get caught up on, and really looking forward to the week where we're going to be spending a little bit more time on that, flushing out the student recruitment people, the description, and also looking at some of the college issues and faculty support issues that we're going to be dealing with. So it was great. What about you?
Yeah, I had a reasonably quiet weekend. My sister came back my sister lives on the other side of the planet in Bali, and she came back for a visit. So we had dinner, we spoke, she played with the children, which she thought was absolutely fantastic. She hadn't seen them in, I think, 6 months. So it was fun. And other than that, I had a really quiet weekend. Played around. I have, of course, my chip that I'm playing with. It's really, really good. Yeah,
a chip. What's that?
It's let me detach it here. It's so yeah. I think you probably know the Arduino, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is the chip is a small board, similar to an Arduino, but it's even smaller. And this one has Wi-Fi on board. So this if Adrianus, one of our faculty members, supported the Kickstarter, so he got a whole stack of these, and so he generously gave me a couple to play with as well, because you can only play with that many. So I've got a couple of these that I've been playing with. In addition to, I've been trying to hook them up to do all kinds of things with I have a set of Arduinos and what is the other one? Raspberry Pi and a Banana Pi and all these type of things that are hooked up here. So I'm playing with that. It's a lot of fun. Really, really nice. Sadly, no analog devices. I can't attach any analog devices to this, only digital devices. So with all my other ones, I can attach something analog, which is good. So not for censoring.
Cool. Well, let's get to the first agenda piece, which is an update on the onboarding that we're doing with Jesse. Jesse's got a lot of information he's going over the past week. We brought him onto Podio, and we also Daniel and I had a meeting with him on Thursday and went back and forth about different things with marketing and different focuses on identifying markets and people that we want to recruit, and groups and individuals. And so it was a really great discussion, and we'll be bringing Jesse to team meetings pretty soon. But we also want to give time for him to do a proper onboarding and really know what Oplerno's like. Anything else you want to add, Daniel?
No, I think that's within any organization, it's always very important to bring in fresh blood. I mean, to bring in not literally blood, of course, but to bring in somebody with a fresh view and who can examine what we've done in the past, critique it honestly, openly, give us good feedback on that, and also to help us to take the next steps that we need to do. And I think Jesse's absolutely brilliant in this. He's we've had a lot of people come in and help us out for a short period of time or a slightly longer period of time. I think Jesse's absolutely going to be invaluable in the steps that we're going to be taking in the future.
Yep, and we really want to make sure that he's getting the kind of support and education about you know, at Oplerno, it's small, you know, Daniel and I have been doing it, but there's a lot of really complex things that we've created and are doing with faculty, with students, with institutions. And it takes a while to sort of get up to speed at looking all of that data and that exchange of information. So we're not going to be throwing Jesse into the deep end of the pool right off the bat. We're going to be you know, giving them a lot of information, helping them really understand what we're up to, and then you know, operationalizing those pieces, which is good. So yeah, no, Jesse is an excellent addition, and we're looking forward to working with him. Let's talk about Neil Groberg sent me an email with a bunch of different questions, and I'm going to answer a few of them. And I'm going to have a meeting with him next week. But these questions are great. He says Neil teaches a class on labor law, which is located on our catalog, and you can go and see it if you hit the link that we'll provide at the bottom of the screen to his class. You know, he's an attorney at law. He's done a lot of work in mediation, arbitration, and facilitation, and he does that in Burlington, but also in other places in the Northeast. And he asked if when a student signs up for the class, am I alerted? So when a person signs up to a class, it shows up in our using Squarespace and on our website, and then we send an email directly to the faculty member to give them, you know, the heads up. Hey, you know, a person's on your class and is signed up for it. And then as we're processing and setting up their accounts, the faculty members, you know, kept in the loop about all those particular things that are going on. So yeah, that's what happens. And the next one, can you email me a written explanation of what you're looking for in graphics in the catalog? I'd really like to replace the stock photo now showing for the course. You know, the catalog that we've got, and if you take a look at it on your screen by going to oplerno.com/course catalog, or just go to oplerno.com and hit courses. What we've used is a lot of stock photos. When you click on those stock photos and you get the page, okay, there's the catalog page which lists all the classes and provides sort of a basic explanation. And then if you click on that catalog, you get a full page that is a course description, also a biography of the professor. Those pages right now it's got a lot more information than most college catalogs have on it, because you know, we link to professors' bios and biographies, etc. What we can add is we can add videos. We can add other types of graphics. We do want to keep sort of a standard look about our catalog. You can add some kind of graphics, but we don't want it to be too clunky. We do want it to have a standard format to it. You can, of course, add a video, and some of them have them, that explains what the course is and gives a chance for you to address your audience directly. Anything you would want to add to that, Daniel?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, just had to mute myself. No, I think it's very important. I think in the past we've also said it. We've also helped our faculty members to personalize their course website. It's very important to give you to put their personal touch on it. I think recently David Hurwitz, I think it was, is one of our professors. He has, of course, he had his personal touches to add to his course page. Of course, Neil will. Other professors will also have something personal that they want to add to their course page. It's very important to.
Yeah, you know, links to Rate My Professor are great. Links
if you have them.
If you have them. A link to LinkedIn. You can even create a link to, let's say, a Facebook page that you've created, or your personal website, which a lot of people have. But again, a video that maybe explains a little bit about the course would be excellent, and you can use that using Google Hangouts. But we're totally willing to personalize. We just want to make sure that the graphics and the things that are placed up on on the page are high quality. There's been another question by faculty about looking at different certifications. There are all kinds of, and what I mean by that is there are all kinds of professional organizations that certify courses, and wondering if Oplerno was going to work with those organizations. We can't really identify the different professional organizations that faculty teach from, and it's going to be tough for us to it's not tough for us to potentially work with you to get your course certified, but you're going to have to really take the lead on that, and make sure that if you do have a professional organization and you want the class to be certified, that you gather all the information that is needed to process it. And in many cases, I can help out a little bit in terms of working with you to fill out those forms to be certified in that. But I can't do that too much. It's sort of up to you to get that course, certified by your professional organization. Unless, of course, it's a large group of you, 10 or 15 people, and you want to do that, then of course we will, we'll help you in any way we can with that. Okay. Let's go to Daniel. Why don't you lead us through the articles that you want to talk about?
Yeah, of course. I put up three articles there. The first one is of course, it was something that Jesse, Rob, and I were discussing last week. We discussed it Friday. There's some organizations in the US have been experimenting with using Slack, so they're using a chat as their classroom. So rather than having face-to-face classrooms attendance, having their online attendance, but then rather than using something like Canvas, or in addition to using something like Canvas or Blackboard, they would actually use a chat channel so they can actually teach from the chat, and the students could follow. They did an experiment with Seth Godin and a couple of others. A very, very interesting article on this, and there's some stuff on the page. So if you visit that, you'll get some more information. Really, really interesting. So if there's something that you would like to do with your course, it might be very interesting for you. We'd love to help you out with that. We love Slack, as you know. And with this, I think, what did you have anything to add about that?
It's really interesting about how what people are doing is they're kind of like searching for a they're not searching for a technological fix, but they're searching for a way to use technology to create the one-on-one interaction that should happen in any learning space. And Slack is a great thing for that. I still would say, though, that when you're using to have learning happen, you also have to have things like a place to keep track of assignments, a place to, the discussion piece is set, but you have to have a place to exchange data in your small community. And I still think the best one of the lot is taking a hard look at Instructure at Canvas and having that type of format for the online learning, where you've got content pages that students can look at. You've got you have discussion groups. You've got places where you can do file transfer, and you've also got a grade book, and also some way to really easily monitor what's going on, both for the professor, but also for administrators to help students in terms of their learning. Slack's really great for those discussion pieces and the exchanging of data, but it also can become a little unwieldy because of the inability to kind of like organize that data and slot in things where they should go to keep track of what actually the student has produced and what they've learned.
Yes, certainly. I mean, one of the issues, of course, with Slack is that everything is chronological. So although it's easy to search it, if you're using unless you're using a paid-for version, you also lose part of your history. So it's a very good addition to whatever you're doing, and there are certainly features within Instructure or within Canvas that you could use, which might serve your purpose much better.
Yep, exactly. What are some other ones?
The next thing is, I think, was your article on the the what was it? The University of Wisconsin Board of Regents voted for a new set of tenure policies.
Yeah, that is this is a big deal. Probably one of the more important articles to come out last week. University of Wisconsin is a really one of the crown jewels in American higher ed. It's a bunch of different institutions. Probably the most famous one is University of Wisconsin in Madison, and Wisconsin Public Radio put out an article voting a new set of tenure policies for the system. And they did that despite the faculty objections. So I'm just going to read the second paragraph. The changes allow for tenured faculty layoffs when academic programs are discontinued and creates a standard policy for post-tenure job reviews across the system. The review policy includes a process for remediation and eventually termination of underperforming professors. Board members adopted minor amendments to the new policy. Disappointing faculty would lobby for changes like removing financial priorities as a reason for shuttering an academic program, more faculty control over program changes, and additional protections for laid off colleagues. So here is this phenomenal university system in Wisconsin who just basically, look, tenure, the notion that you would have a lifetime appointment in the University of Wisconsin system is gone because they're going to start reviewing people post-tenure to renew their contracts. And what also was interesting is the clash. Faculty didn't want their programs reviewed. You couldn't remove a program based on financial priorities for shuttering an academic program, but the Regents said absolutely, if a program's money, we're going to change it. And what's troubling for me though is they also rejected faculty control over program changes. So what this to me sounds like is that you know, they're not empowering their faculty to control the educational system, and they're not empowering their faculty, and they're not really creating the types of incentives that are going to get faculty to become a little bit more trusting of the system, because they're now that tenure's gone and there's post-tenure review. People are going to feel about unsure of their jobs, and they haven't really articulated, at least in this article, they haven't really articulated how they're going to review people, and what are those criterion, and it may be a way to turn the Wisconsin system into a much more of an adjunct-based system, and it's definitely getting rid of a lot of the power of tenured faculty. Let me read you what one said. There are going to be a lot of ramifications, said Teresa Duello, UV-Madison obstetrics professor and an officer in their academic union. If I stand back and look at the last couple of hours of discussion, I'm disappointed that we're not talking about leading. And so, you know, tenure in Wisconsin is almost, well, is probably at an end. And that is something that's going to happen at all kinds of different institutions across the country.
Yeah, it's a sad development. I mean, you see it happening all over the United States, but especially with somebody who a jewel like the University of Wisconsin.
It's sad, but then again, it may create the opportunity for really good teaching faculty to you know, get back in the game, to really assert control, because great faculty members are going to attract you know, students. They may not go to, you know, University of you know, the University of Wisconsin system. They may find other alternatives, one of which is Oplerno, because, you know, faculty are the jewel of an institution. But what we've got to do is create incentives for faculty to create great classes and also get paid for it. The question is, does Tenure help that? And I'm not so sure. Tenure was designed to support academic freedom and inquiry after a long career of great scholarship. And if you have rules in your system that allow academic freedom, and you have a much more open market for where faculty kind of compete against each other and students are searching for exactly the kind of faculty member they want, then I think things could improve. But this just shows, in my opinion, that the system is collapsing, and that it's undergoing a transformation, and it's clearly not going to be anything like it was 50 years ago. All right. You got another one, Daniel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. There was another one by Jesse posted this. I thought it was very interesting. It's called "The Two Great Secrets of Higher Education." Basically, there's two great secrets of higher education. One is tuition is paid for a reason. Well, tuition, of course, are paid for a reason because you pay to go to Harvard, so you can put Harvard on your CV. You go to Yale, so you can be Yale, because it sends out that I am somebody who has gone to these great, massive institutions. So my resume should be looked at. But the other great secret of higher education, according to the article, is that that the signal that you're buying is not worth the investment compared to what you can create somewhere else. So if you can actually go somewhere else, get much better value for your dollar, for your euro, for your baht or whatever you. And if you can get a lot more better value and get introduced to a lot better teachers who would never get into an Ivy League, or would never teach at an Ivy League, but people who are much better, know the material much better, but don't belong to such elite institutions, if you understand what I mean. So yeah, and I thought that was a very interesting article that Jesse put up there.
Yeah, I mean, it points to that whole piece in in computer programming or computer science. Now with GitHub, you can show what you know how to do, and you don't have to go to a fancy college and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a degree to learn how to computer program or do computer science. You can put that together yourself. We don't have that yet in lots of other degrees in higher ed, but then again, is spending all of that money on an education and also indebting yourself. And we saw last week the article on debt and students and how it impacts them in the future, in their future earning and future potential. That's something that really needs to be taken a look at. And for a lot of people, it may not be worth spending that money to get that fancy degree and go into debt, depending upon their major. So that's a very different conversation. Just having that conversation compared to what we just talked about 10 years ago is dramatic.
Yeah, I know, but it's actually, you touched on something that I perhaps forgot to mention last week. Of course, I was recently reading an article, I think it was a New Scientist or something like that. If when I find it, I'll put the link in the show notes. But which basically said that any type of debt actually reduces the amount of IQ points that you have, because you're so busy with in the background with the debt. It's such a weight on your shoulders. Any type of debt, any type of large debt, will actually make it more difficult for you to be able to do something. So people who are indebted $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 are actually not able to work to their full potential. It's awful. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it in the show notes, and maybe we can discuss it next week.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. We'll give you guys an update next week on different things that are going on with us, and we're getting very close to Team Meeting 100, which we're really excited for. And take a look online. Keep up with us. You can subscribe to our Twitter feed. You can subscribe to us on Facebook. We've gotten actually a lot more interesting Facebook feeds this week. And also remember Higher Ed Revolution on Medium, which is Daniel's doing and is an excellent source for news on anything having to do with higher ed.
Yep, cool. Yeah, and as Rob says, or as I would say, all the links are in the notes below. So please click on there and visit us. Thank you for watching. See you online.
See you online.